Hey, what's up, guys? So I took another loss, and that has changed my mind on some things on what I want to try to do going forward. But just to show you what that does when you lose, you go backwards, because I went back 14 points. And so that puts me at 147. So just when I started this week, I was at 81. And so now I'm at 147. So the backwards motion is pretty serious. I am currently at 1974. And so that means that I got to win or I get demoted, which is, I'm not too worried about that because there's a lot of season left to try to get back to M3. But I am trying to go for the win because my original thought going into the first trial was that, if you go 1-2, that's not terrible because you're still trying to figure some things out and then you try to recruit or recover from it. So here's the change. As you can see, the room 1 and 2, they're the same. And I debated on changing up 2. And 3 is the same. I think what makes it tricky now is I decided to go with Odin on defense with Illuminati. So Euthanac explained some things to me about the difference in having Reed Richards in this lineup or Black Knight, as well as the sequence of attacks where when he did it, he used some different abilities than I did, like specials and ults, and I was just doing, or he was doing basics and ults in certain places where I was just doing special. So there's some things to try to pick up from that. It's a little bit difficult, but I would encourage you to watch this video and just try to see if you can recognize the abilities that he uses from the animation. So I'll spend some time over the next few days trying to do that myself. And so room 5 is the same, and room 6 is more of a variation because what I'm thinking about is Annihilators just aren't doing that well. So this, I think, gets a better use out of them and also allows me to go with Tangled Web and Ares back on offense. And so as I thought about that, I said, well, you still have some offensive options this way, and maybe you can make some things out of that by having Odin on defense. So that's the rationale behind the balance, because you guys can see where the pools are with some of the other rooms, and we'll see how this kind of works out. This is what my opponent has on defense. And so as I first thought about it, I was like, well, of course he has no Odin on defense. And that kind of opened things up a bit where I was thinking about how I can try to go into these attacks. And so I've chatted, I usually chat with the Seer and Updog, so I chatted with both of them. And Updog has really shared some ideas here. Because mostly what I told him is the Seer had done the 1 sack on room 1 and did Superior 6. He believes that'll work too. So originally I was thinking to use Apoc on 6. He was thinking I don't need it because that's going to be a Cabal counter, and we'll get to that. But mostly his suggestion is Apoc on 2. I think I'm going to still sack 1, use Superior 6, and Apoc because it was sketchy when I saw the Seer do it. And the biggest reason I don't think I really need Apoc on 2 is because, hopefully I don't. We'll try that one before we try 1 when I go into this. But hopefully what I'm seeing is that there's no gore. So there's not a real threat to take away the revives from Old Man Logan. And so that makes me think of putting Zuggs in and the Panda Pool and putting Old Man Logan between the two of them. Because at that point, you can't really take the revives from Old Man Logan. So it probably should play out pretty well. But we'll see. That's just a thought on how I may do that. And just to kind of speed Old Man Logan up if possible, because he would be next to the pre-taunts. And so we know room 3 is the same as mine. Spider Society beats that. Back to a double sack, and I think just going with New Warriors. I think the ideal thing is I'll just pull the abilities, because I think that the way Undying works is still a burst. So you just get past their first 2 turns, and just make sure you pull Mephisto's ult. And the Warriors probably would not have a problem if you didn't pull any abilities at all, but then I think it just makes it kind of easy because he does have 3 diamonds on his older tunes for Undying. And so that leaves me Night Stalkers for 5, even though they have Dorm. I think that's the route. And I will use Cabal on 6. And so I think 6 can be done with, hopefully, because, we got another 3 diamond everything in here. Hopefully 6 can be done with Cabal, Kang, and Ultimus. So we'll see. But I think I want to stream this one, guys. I'm going to get on with Up Dog, and we'll just have some fun with it and hopefully pull this out. Because I found out today that I'm not actually supposed to be back at work yet, so I'm going to be off to the 15th. So let's get into this and see how it goes. So when I started to do this attack, I was actually planning to go to bed, and I said, well, I got some things planned for tomorrow. Even though, I'm off today, I said I might should go ahead and get this attack in. And I was sitting here thinking about this, and I had helped Johnny with doing something similar. And I said, well, I'm going to go ahead and try Ultimus. Forgot totally that I wanted to save Ultimus for room 6. But I didn't realize that until I got to room 6. So I go in with Ultimus. And it's not that it's a terrible thing to go in with Ultimus. The plan was that when Ultimus hit the Gladiator, Johnny was able to get off the ult. So I'm like, okay, cool, let's try that. And then as you can see, I can't get off the taunt here. I said, okay, well, that didn't go as planned. But for the most part with the counter, as I was saying before in the intro, that there's no gore here, so there's no real threat for old man Logan to not keep getting his revives. And for the most part, the zombie Juggernaut is just there for Nightcrawler, so you can hit into him. You could probably use Kingpin or somebody else that brings in a pre-taunt, and that would work. But you need Nightcrawler to hit somebody that is not crucial to your counter. And you don't want old man Logan to accidentally get hit because that could be problematic. So really, the ideal thing is to bring in a pre-taunt and just use the 4-piece, because this counter could have been more efficient with Docket in there. He maybe would have revived here, but even if he didn't, he would have gotten a turn in much sooner, and that could have made a difference with the efficiency. loaded my team, I just automatically went for Apoc, and I said, oh boy, I was supposed to be using Ultimates here, because I wanted to save Apoc for room 1. And I just sat there and said, well, there's nothing you can do now. You're going to need Apoc on this one, or you're not going to beat this room. If you can, it would be much more difficult, because you're going to have to get around that man thing. And I'm glad I took him, because as you see here, my Kang doesn't last long. And so I'd have been relying on Kang much more heavily had I not had Apoc. Now, I don't think that Apoc was the make or break here. I just think Apoc made for sure that I could win, because this is a 5 mil team. It could be that I could have brought in a pre-taunt with Kang, and that would have worked, as I'm thinking about it, later on. But at the end of the day, I'm okay with having done this, because it was just like, let's just see how it goes. I wasn't sure how tanky Strange would be here, and so it's like, okay, you just want to make sure you get them all killed. And so that's really what Apoc was there for, because I'm not sure how they would have lasted out had he not been there to just wipe the board clean. And so here I get to use the Night Stalkers. I had not gone into the Orchis with a dorm, but I don't think, my original thought is it's not going to really matter. This team is so OP, I think they were just designed to beat Orchis. And so when they go through their sequence of attacks, on offense, I'm not sure how it works on defense, but on offense, they get their abilities, their specials and ultimates back so quickly. I didn't think that it'd be much of a problem. And you can see here how quickly they just obliterate this team. And then on the second pass, they're just knocking them out really fast. So it's really not a problem. I think it's a good idea to run Dorm, because it kind of limits the counter still. But if you're going to keep Night Stalkers on offense, I think you're going to have no problem going into the Orchis. I was tempted to put Night Stalkers on defense, and after seeing this, I'm glad I didn't. And so going forward, we're trying to have some kind of balance. If the idea is to keep Odin on defense, I think I need to have the Night Stalkers on offense, as you can see here. So I'm sure at this point of the season, you guys are seeing Spider Society pretty much beat up on everything that's in here. This is a room that I like to go with as well, the Void Knight and the Alpha Flight, and I had not actually gone against it myself. So it's kind of odd to see it in here. It's like, wow, this is my defense. And I wasn't quite sure how to go about it, but clearly having the Void Knight next to the Sasquatch there, you could just get eliminated really quickly. So it made me think about putting him somewhere else. I have him in the middle. I don't even know if the middle is ideal at this point, but definitely, I think one time I ran him behind the Sasquatch, and that's probably just not where you want to have him. You can see how this team is just picking them apart. Even when Alpha Flight, North Star, and Guardian they get a chance to go, it's really of no consequence. It's too little, too late. The primary damage to the team has been done, and it's just about just getting through the second and possibly, depending on who's left, third turn of attacks just to kind of clear out the room. So my hope is that with Moonstone being stronger, I could get through all of the abilities on the first sack here. The thing that happened is during this sack, the Seer hit me back and said, no, I sacked it twice. Now, Updog said he sacked it once, And at that point, I wasn't quite sure what to do because, like, okay, what do you do here? And but I decided to go ahead and just sack it the one time. I said, we'll just sack it once. We'll see what happens, and then we'll go in and see what we can do without having Apoc here, because the Seer did go in, and I think I want to say he did sack it once, but he did go in with a Superior 6 Vulture, and he was able to take care of it. Could be I misplayed it. Could be a tune or two was stronger or had a different placement order, whatever the case may be. But as you guys will see going forward, that my Superior 6 did not last this out, and I was left with my scraps of teams, and I wasn't quite sure what to use. So I said, we'll just try something. But what I want you to notice, and we'll talk about it a little bit in the Superior 6 attempt, is that Superior 6 does a good job of getting them down. So I think it is possible to still clear them out. And I'll talk about the misplay that took place that probably kept that from happening, even though the team I selected may not have been the team to take in. So now I'm following up with the Superior 6. I'm not even sure if he had the same placement order, but I like using this placement order. It's been pretty safe. I have a pretty built up Superior 6, so I thought I was in good shape. From watching the series, I think he did lose. He lost either Slayer or Vulture, so I did expect to lose one or two tunes. And as you'll see, it looks like they're going in pretty good shape, because I expected more of the retaliates and the assists to take place than actually did. So perhaps keeping a hold of the Doc Ock, maybe a different position, could help a little bit. I think after I did this move here, I was in good shape to take out somebody key. And so what I thought was, well, if I take out Shuri, I'll get rid of the assist no matter what if I have to come back in. But I think always, guys, you go after Hank, because as you'll see what happens near the end and definitely the beginning of the third attempt is that Hank just heals him up so much that you're not going to have a chance. So right here, I probably should have gone for the Hank. I probably could have had a chance to kill him. And then most likely this team wouldn't have healed up that much. I'm not saying they could be beat, but definitely for what I had left, I don't think I had a chance to beat them, as they were able to start healing up here a bit and then definitely in the final attempt. this point, I just wanted to follow through with the plan of pulling all the abilities, meaning the first 2 turn of abilities of Undying and then getting to the Mephisto ult. And so this is what you'll see play out. I think after that, going it with new warriors is just pretty straightforward. I don't think it's really a selection process because at that point the team is exhausted and Undying is too far away from anything meaningful and basically too slow to be much of a problem against the new warriors. But I'll just let it play here so you guys can kind of follow through and see how it all goes. So to my surprise, Wolf had gotten his attacks in, and I was able to pull it off with one extra attempt being dropped by him. And so this is just a quick speed through or take a look at what he did here, and mostly so you guys can get an idea of how my defense held up. And it's not that the rooms did anything particularly special, but you can see he's got 3 diamonds on everything. He's got a really built out new warriors, which that proves to me that new warriors will still be vital, but it just takes a huge commitment to make them that way. Being 3 diamonds, G19, and purple 3 ISOs. But as you see here, this is where he got tripped up. He couldn't clear the Odin room. And then as he moves into this room 6, he was able to almost clear it, so it just took him one more attempt, which leads me to believe I'm going back to the room setup I had before for room 6.